Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the podcast. Today, we're going to do an update on the women's and men's basketball programs at Toledo and talk about what's happened in the last couple of games and what they have coming up for both of those teams. So, thank you for joining me today. And first of all, I know it's been a little over a week since I've had a podcast episode recorded and uploaded. Been feeling a bit under the weather, coughing quite a bit, and didn't really want to try and record something where I was constantly coughing. Just wouldn't have been a very good experience either for recording or for you viewing it. So I apologize for that, but we're going to try and get back into things here again and might still cough a little bit. So hopefully it won't be too bad. I apologize in advance if I do. So, first of all, let's get right into it. And we're going to start with the Toledo women's basketball team. And they've had a couple of games here in conference. And so they started conference play after beating Oakland 74-44 on December 21st. So went through the Christmas break at a 9-2 record and started conference play on January 4th at Savage Arena against Western Michigan. And it was a pretty good game for the Rockets. They won the game 71-53. Led throughout the game, played very well, and things were looking pretty good. Then we went to Saturday, just a few days ago, January 7th, at Northern Illinois. And it was a bit of a close contest early on. Then Toledo started to pull away a little bit. Went into the fourth quarter with a 17-point lead. Things were just looking really good, clicking very well for the Rockets. Like I said, a 17-point lead heading into the fourth quarter. And just a complete meltdown, which you do not see normally from the women's basketball team. They ended up losing by 1 point, 67-66 to Northern Illinois. Again, this not something that you normally see from the Toledo women's basketball program. But the fourth quarter just did not go very well at all. Northern Illinois got pretty hot from the field, and they were hitting some key baskets. They were getting the ball inside to their inside force. She went to the foul line a lot in the fourth quarter. Then they hit some timely 3-pointers late in that fourth quarter and upset Toledo 67-66. Like I said, just want to bring up a couple of stats from that game really quick just to show you. So get this to load here really quick. And first of all, like I said, Toledo had a 17-point lead heading into the fourth quarter. And they were playing well in the first half as well. They were winning. Let's see, 30, I think it was 33-23, 10-point lead at halftime. Then it was 53-36 at the end of the third quarter. And things were looking really well. Northern Illinois came into the game at 8-4, but they were 0-1 in the MAC already. And Toledo just looked like they were the much better team. And then the fourth quarter hit, and it was a struggle for the Rockets. It really was. Here's one of the interesting things. Pretty much every game you look at for Toledo, they have 3, 4, 5 players, usually 4 or 5 players in double figures. They only had 2 players in double figures in this game. Quenisha Lockett had 18 points, and Kara Goss had 12. This just wasn't, what you normally see. I mean, it just, I don't know. It was really the fourth quarter that really did them in. Just not a very good quarter at all. They gave up 31 points in the fourth quarter. Northern Illinois scored 67 points total, 31 in that fourth quarter in one quarter of the game. And like I said here for Northern Illinois, if I can bring that up here, Asia Davis, their inside force, finished with 22 points. Shelby Coker um, had 21 points, and the next highest was 5 points. So they had really two players that did the big damage. Another thing that hurt, 13 offensive rebounds for Northern Illinois in the game. Um, that's not good. Total of 38 rebounds for Northern Illinois in this game. Look at Toledo. Um, they have 48 total rebounds, only 11 offensive rebounds. Notre Dame or Northern Illinois, yeah, 13, but still, 11. You like to see 11 offensive rebounds when you're on offense. When you're on defense, you don't want to see giving up 13 offensive rebounds. Those are too many offensive rebounds. Um, and Asia Davis, like I said, she really was a big part of this victory, and it was mostly in the fourth quarter. And you look, of their 67 points, 28 points were in the paint, so down low. Excuse me, sorry about that. Um, so yeah, this was a game that was not expected at all to go the way it did. Um, and again, you look at Northern Illinois, field goal percentage in the fourth quarter was 52.6%. So a great fourth quarter for them. And then you look at Toledo, 27% on field goals in that fourth quarter. And, the second quarter wasn't the greatest, but they didn't give up a lot of points either. They were on 35% second quarter for field goal percentage. Sorry about the coughing there. Take 1 second here to get a drink. And in the first and third quarters, Toledo shot right around 50% in field goals. So that fourth quarter really did do them in, the shooting 27%. Toledo didn't do bad at the foul line. They were 6 of 8 in the fourth quarter, 12 of 16 in the game. So that was fine, but the field goal shooting wasn't the best in the fourth quarter. So that's one that kind of got away that you don't expect to see happen. And you look at the Rockets, they're now 10-3 overall, and 1-1 in the conference. And they have a very interesting game coming up, a very tough game. So this game is on Wednesday, January 11th at Savage Arena against Ball State. And Ball State, is a team that played Toledo tough last year. They figured to be a good team again this year, right? They are 12-3 so far this year and 2-0 in the MAC. Their conference games, they beat Bowling Green 81-73. And then their last game at Western Michigan, they won 76-70. So they're a solid team. You have the common opponent in Western Michigan, right? So Toledo beat Western Michigan, like I said, 71-53. They played really well in that game. For Ball State, they just beat them 76-70. That was at Western Michigan. So a little bit closer game, but this Ball State team, they're a good team, and they played Toledo very tough last year. So this will be a key game, no doubt about it. And if, the Toledo women's basketball team are going to repeat as regular season MAC champions, this is a game that they really need to win. It's at home, and Ball State's 2-0, so you got to give them that loss and, get the victory to go to 2-1 themselves. And I think, like I said, that fourth quarter was uncharacteristic of Trisha Golub's teams. And I think their they're going to be ready to play in this game. I think this is going to be a good game. It's going to be a tough game, but I think this is a game that they should win. And after the meltdown in the fourth quarter, at North Illinois, I think they're going to be ready to play in this game. Mm-hmm. So that's the update on the women's team. Now let's take a look at the men's team. And, I've said it before about this season. This is a good men's basketball team at Toledo, but they're just inconsistent. And sometimes there's moments where you just wonder what's going on. Defensively, they've had times that they're average at best. Offensively, they're one of the best teams in the country offensively, right? I think they're averaging, I think it's over 80 points per game. I can't remember. I think it was 88 points per game or something like that. And they finished out the non-conference schedule with a 9-4 record. And so their last game of the non-conference was December 29th. So just before the new year against Lourdes University. And they won that game 103-88. Now, Lourdes University is not a game that you would expect to be that close and that you would give up 88 points. So that was interesting. Really showed how Toledo at times has struggled defensively in that game. And it did raise some concerns, no doubt about it, going into conference play. So first game of the conference was on Tuesday, January 3rd, at home at Savage Arena against Ball State. And Ball State's an interesting team because they've been on a bit of a run lately, finishing out the non-conference schedule, and they've played really well. And Ball State's also a team that Toledo doesn't always play well against. Ball State's had some times here in the past couple of years where they've had players that have had career games really against Toledo, and we kind of saw it in this game. Ball State was hot right from the beginning, and they took an early lead and they won the game. Toledo tried a nice comeback at the end, but I think they pulled within 2 points, if I'm not mistaken. Ball State hit some foul shots down the stretch and so forth, and they won the game 90-83. So again, defense giving up 90 points. Just the defense really lacked in this game. Looking at some stats here, talking about having a career game really against Toledo. Jaron Coleman, 26 points. Just fantastic effort that he had in this game. And he's a guy that a couple years ago had a huge game against Toledo as well. I think he had 31 points that game or something like that. So he's been known to play well against Toledo for some reason. But let's, just kind of look at these stats because some of these are very interesting. In the first half, Ball State shot 51.7% from the field. In the second half, they shot 53.3% for a total of 52.5%. They were 50% from the 3-point line in this game, 11 of 22. And it was pretty even throughout, around 50% throughout the entire game. 6 of 12 in the first half, 5 of 10 from the 3-point line in the second half. And they shot 85% from the foul line in this game, 17 of 20. They had a couple times they had guys go to the foul line that were 70%, 60% foul shooters, and they made both shots. They were on fire in this game. In the second half, they were 13 of 14 from the foul line. It's 92.8%. And yeah, you go to the foul line 14 times in the second half. There's something wrong with the defense there, right? They're fouling too much. And that's exactly what we saw in this game. Now you look at Toledo. I said that Ball State shot for the game 52.5% from the field. Toledo ended up shooting 51.7%, and that's pretty good. Toledo's known to have a really good offense. So, about, I guess, what you would expect. Toledo had 4 players in double figures. Ray J. Dennis led the way with 21 points. Dante Maddox had 16. JT Shoemate had 15. Raheem Moss had 11. And then just under that, Cedric Milner had 9 points. Tyler Cochran did get to play in this game. His first game back from injury, and he had 5 points. He played 19 minutes. So, he was the first player basically off the bench and the guy that got most of the minutes off the bench. But he was still, you could tell he was still trying to get his feet going again, getting back into shape after the injury that he had. Something interesting, Toledo shot very well from the foul line too. They were 12 of 13 in the second half, 92%. They did miss a few foul shots earlier in the first half, but they were 4 of 9. But the 3-point shooting was definitely a difference. 7 of 18, just 38.9%. Like I said, Ball State was 50%. So that was a big difference. Ball State was hitting their 3-pointers. And Toledo really wasn't, And like I said, Ball State has been hot lately. They've been on a roll. It was just another example of that, right? A very good victory for Ball State in this game. So that put Toledo at 0-1 in the MAC. And I'm going to go in here real quick, and we're just going to take a quick look. Ball State did play after this and won again, of course. They played Akron on Friday, and this game was in Ball State. And Akron's a good team, and they beat Akron now 70-63. Not as high scoring of a game. Akron apparently plays better defense than Toledo does. Toledo really needs to figure out how to play better defense. That's for sure. But another nice win for Ball State. They are playing really well, and they're showing that they are going to be one of the top teams in the MAC this year. They are 11-4 overall now, and 2-0 in the conference. But you got to look at this winning streak here. Let's see. They have won 7 in a row, dating back to December 7th. They were 4-4, and now they're 11-4. They're playing very good. They've mostly been shooting very well as well, scoring a lot of points. They did have one game against Georgia Southern that was a lower scoring game that they won. But they're playing great, and they are going to be a tough team to play, no doubt about it, in the conference this year. And Toledo does finish off the regular season against them on March 3rd in Muncie, Indiana. This game was at Toledo, so that's going to be definitely an interesting game. So for the men's basketball team, what's up next? Well, it got a little better, because after the Ball State game, they got their first conference victory. And that game was against Western Michigan, also in Savage Arena. And again, the offenses played great. They went over 100 points. They won a 102-74. So the game at one point, I think it was in the second half, I think they had a 39-point lead. They ended up winning by 28. And the defense actually stepped up and played much better in this game. Still to give up 74 points, and that's a little bit concerning, no doubt about that. But let's look at the stats here a little bit, right? And in the second half, Western Michigan did shoot 46.6% from the field. The first half, they were only at 31.2%. So that was the difference, that they seemed to shoot better in the second half. They have a player, Lamar Norman, who is a very good player, very skilled player. And Toledo did a good job of shutting him down. He did finish with 13 points, but he really wasn't as much of a factor as you would expect. And he played almost the entire game, 37 minutes. So Toledo did a really good job defensively on him. And that was good to see. And um, another thing that I think was big for Toledo in this game was that Western Michigan just did not shoot the ball well from the 3-point line or the foul line. 32% for the game from the 3-point line, 78% for the game from the foul line. Toledo, 102 points. You know that they did well, right? 52.4% from the field in the game, 54.2% from the 3-point line. Foul line, they didn't do as well in the second half. First half, 84%. They were 11 of 13. Second half, 12 of 16. A couple misses there that were maybe a little more uncharacteristic there, but 75% total for the second half, 79.3% for the game. Overall, that's not bad. It's about 80%. So that's not bad overall. But they shot well. 3-point line, field goal percentage was good. JT Shoemate hit some really key 3-pointers. He was 4 of 6 from the 3-point line. He ended up with 23 points, leading the way. And the one that I really wanted to talk about, first guy off the bench, second game back after injury, Tyler Cochran. He had a great game. He scored 20 points. Look at that. So he had 20 points, 2 steals, and 5 rebounds in the game. He just played great in this game. 24 minutes. He actually had more minutes than Dante Maddox did, even though Maddox was a starter and Cochran came in off the bench. He was 7 of 10 on his field goals. He was 3 of 4 from the 3-point line. He was 3 of 4 from the foul line. He had a great game, and that's going to be huge for this team going further into conference play if Tyler Cochran can play like that. Also looking at the scoring in double figures, you had Cedric Milner with 16 points and Ray J. Dennis had 10 points. This really was not, his offensive day, right? He didn't play that well offensively, but he had 6 assists, only 2 turnovers. He still played a very good game. His shot just wasn't there, right? He just wasn't doing well there. So he made sure he was getting the ball to other people and helping to, get their game going and so forth. And that just makes him such a great player. And, if you got to watch the game on TV, you hear the announcers talk a lot about him and how they think that he has if not the inside track, he's one of the top players in the conference for MAC Player of the Year. And you could just see it the way he played. And even though it was not like his best game, he had some nice plays where he scored on. And then, like I said, the assists, there was one play where it was almost like he had eyes on the back of his head, behind the back, pass to, I think it might've been Shoemate. I can't remember who it was, but pretty easy bucket. He just played very well, even though he wasn't scoring, right? So this was a good bounce back game for the Rockets, and it was a game they really needed, no doubt about it. And, now you look at the next game on the schedule. We talked about that they already had to play Ball State. Ball State's a good team. Well, this is going to really tell you how good Toledo is this year in conference and how, what their chances are of winning the MAC, because they're playing at Kent State. And Kent State is, in my opinion, they're the team to beat in the MAC. They have played great this year. They are 12-3 overall, 2-0 in the MAC. Their 3 losses, they lost to the College of Charleston, 74-72 at College of Charleston, right? They lost to Houston at Houston when Houston was ranked number 2 in the country, 49-44. And then they lost at Gonzaga, 73-66. Another ranked team. Those are their only 3 losses. They have been winning everything else. They beat Western Michigan 80-72. And this was their first conference game on January 3rd. And I got to tell you, that was a lot closer than what I thought it would be. Western Michigan played them pretty well. And then Toledo just played really, really well against Western Michigan. So that does make you feel a little better about Toledo's chances in this game. And then Kent State's second conference game, they played at Miami and they won, but another close game, 69-66. So they're 2-0 in the conference. Both conference games have been closer than I think they would like. Western Michigan, they won by 8, but I think, if I remember correctly, they were winning by like 10 to 15 points throughout most of that game. So it was, pretty much in hand. But now they got Toledo and it's at Kent State. It's definitely going to be an interesting game. It's the only time that Toledo and Kent State will meet in the regular season this year. They could meet in the MAC tournament, but it's the only time they'll meet in the regular season. And Kent State, they've got the home court advantage. They're a very, very good team. Like I said, just 3 losses. 2 of them are against ranked opponents. The biggest loss was 7 points against Gonzaga. So they have played very, very well. And you have to see what happens because they at times have put up some good points on the board. They scored over 100 this year. Looking back, they scored over 100 once. They had 94 points in another game. They put 66 points up against Gonzaga. That's pretty good, and that was in a loss. So Gonzaga's a good team. So this will be interesting to see how Toledo can do against Kent State, how they'll match up against them. And this is the big one here right now, early on, because they're 1-1 after the loss to Ball State. Like I said, Ball State's on a roll, and you really don't want to fall to 1-2 at this point. After this, it's another road game at Northern Illinois on January 14th on this Saturday. So that will be interesting to see how it goes too. Definitely a game that Toledo should win, but can't look past this game here at Kent State. This is really probably the game that I figured going into conference play would be the toughest conference game, even over Bowling Green, who is a rival, just because Kent State has played so good. So, I think the Rockets are going to have to play well defensively, and they're going to have to be on fire on offense to win this game on the road. They haven't played quite as well on the road either as they have at home. And, they did lose to Ball State, which it was the first loss at home this year. I think they only lost like once or twice last year at home. So they're 6-1 at home, where they're 2-2 on the road, 2-2 in neutral games. So they haven't played quite as well on the road as they have, at least away from Savage Arena as they have at Savage Arena. But this is a game they've got to they've got to play well, and it's not like it's the end of the world if they lose this game, but they need to keep it close at least. And really, if they want to look at the MAC regular season title, they're going to need to win this game. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. And that's kind of the update today here for the men's and women's basketball teams. And thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.